Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. It's been a little while since I've recorded. I meant to record earlier, but life just sort of happened. This video is just going to not really actually have anything to do with books per se. It has to do with the Behind the Booktube tag. And I saw this tag on Triumphal Reads, which is Justin's channel. If you have not checked his channel out, please do so. He is linked, I have his channel information down in my description box. He's one of the co-hosts for the Historathon 2024. So I do recommend checking out his channel. But he went through the Behind the Booktube. Sorry, let's try that again. He went through the Behind the Booktube tag, and there's about 13 questions. I have not thought through the answers prior to making this video, so we will see how this goes. The first question is, what has surprised you the most about BookTube, both in a good way and in a bad way? So, in a good way, I didn't know about the nonfiction BookTube community, so like Historathon and that kind of thing. I actually didn't know there's that much of a presence for nonfiction on BookTube. Other than that, the Discourse. I didn't know. I was kind of delighted to find that there was another community off of the YouTube itself for people to interact. I didn't really come in with a whole lot of preconceptions because I actually hadn't watched BookTube terribly long before I started. But that's partially because I didn't so much start because of other BookTubers' content or because I was even necessarily inspired by other BookTubers. I started because people around me were tired of hearing me just go on and on and on about the things that I read, and I just needed an outlet. So the reason I started is perhaps a bit different than maybe other people's. So I did not come in with any preconceptions. What surprised me in a bad way, this shouldn't have surprised me, but even though I have not noticed it personally, I see people making videos about BookTube drama existing, and I should have known this about this being a thing, because I know in the YarnTube community, which is where I've been for my YouTube career, today is actually, I guess yesterday, is the 12th year anniversary of my YarnTube channel with my mom. And I know that there is drama within the YarnTube community. I should have realized that there is going to be drama in any YouTube community. And for whatever reason, that surprised me a little bit when I came to BookTube, even though it shouldn't have. How do you balance reading and BookTube with the rest of your life? Well, I didn't start BookTube until after I already had to stop working because I became disabled. Although I worked night shift before I was disabled for most of my career, so I probably would have just recorded on my nights off. But I don't really have any plan or anything like that for balancing reading and BookTube with the rest of my life, because basically reading is what I do when I'm able to do things. If I'm having a bad sensory day, nothing really gets done, or if I can't focus I'm having a bad day, nothing can get done. But pretty much if I'm not actively with people, which I am very limited on how much time I can spend with people, if I'm not actively with people, I'm usually trying to get reading done. So my balance is different than most people because I don't really have a huge rest of my life. Have I ever thought about starting a Patreon? And that's question 3. If you haven't been keeping track. For BookTube, no. I already have one for my YarnTube. That got started when I was in that in-between period of being first unable to work and not yet having disability, and I needed to have some sort of money coming in. I found that having too much going on a Patreon was actually really stressful for someone with the limitations that I have. So even what's available on my YarnTube Patreon has been dialed back a lot, as has the price of that Patreon, just because I mostly have it on there just for the monthly Zooms that we do with our Patreons that are still there. So no, I would probably never start a BookTube Patreon just because it's one more extra thing that I would need to be able to keep up with, and I don't think I'd be able to manage it. For question number 4, have you made any mistakes on BookTube? Oh, I'm sure I have. I'm sure I have. Honestly, I think I'm still like figuring out how people organize their buddy reads, because I am terrible about keeping up with people because it's very much based on my energy levels and how much I can focus. So that is probably the thing I'm still trying to figure out the most, is how to work buddy reads. I did one earlier this year, and with Cicero, I did that with John. That's his channel is Richard of Audicourt, I believe, and someone else from the Historathon Discord. We did Cicero as a buddy read, and I think that we might have been better served to do what he had initially suggested, which was start a different thread for discussing it instead of just doing it in the main area, because I think that we would have been able to keep better track of the conversation that way. But that was something that he left up to me, and because I was the one he was talking to at the time, for what I thought, and I chose poorly. So in retrospect, I would have chosen differently if I knew then what I knew now. So that's probably a mistake I can think of. And I probably would like to make sure I would figure out buddy reads a bit better. Other than that, I really don't do a whole lot of like the tags and stuff on BookTube, simply because I am still building up my list of people that I listen to, and I'm also I watch and listen to people, but I also have to be careful how much I do, simply because I don't have a ton of self-control, and I can't just buy books as much as I'd like to. And there's only so much available on Libby and all the other library apps, and I'm not able to leave the house just to go to the library whenever I want to. And I have a small town library, so that wouldn't help anyway. Number 5, do you have any advice for new booktubers? I probably am not the best choice of someone to give advice. At this point, I think I just hit, if it doesn't change after I post this video, I just hit 110 subscribers. So I'm not really big enough to be giving anyone any sort of advice. The only thing I can think of has nothing to do with building a following or anything, but just make the kind of videos you want to make and read what you want to read, and don't worry about how fast anyone else is reading or if or just or about what other people are reading. If you don't want to read XYZ that everyone else is reading, don't read that thing, because then it sucks the joy out of it. And for me personally, BookTube is about the joy of reading. So yeah, that would probably be the advice that I would give. Take a drink. Okay, what are your thoughts on the YouTube algorithm? I don't have a ton of thoughts on it. The only thing I would bring up is something that I've learned from my time on YarnTube. And this was something that initially the people that watched just started when I was fundraising for my second neurosurgery. They started running our videos in the background, because at the time I was still monetizing. They were running the videos in the background and leaving comments, even if they didn't have a lot to say, just so that way they can bring up engagement to help with not only getting me on the algorithm, but also help with monetization. But from that, we also started encouraging our people, even after we stopped monetizing, hey, if you don't have anything to say, just let us know that you've seen it by, leaving an emoji, waving at us, whatever, just so we know that you watched it. So we have several people who will just drop an emoji in the comments, and that is just they're like, hi, we're here. And from what I understand for the YouTube algorithm, any sort of interaction that will bring you up in the algorithm. So likes, dislikes, comments, whether they're emojis, positive comments, negative comments, whatever they are, they all help feed the algorithm from what I understand. Oh, and then also any sort of engagement with the content creator with their people's comments, that apparently also helps the algorithm, from what I understand. But that's all I can really think about is what I've experienced in my other channel, my YarnTube channel. Okay, so 7A, how do you decide what videos to make? Honestly, it's based off of what I'm reading at the time, what I just feel like making at the time, and what I have the brain power to make at the time. So, yeah, there's no plan. It's a lot of times figured out like right before I click record. Every rare once in a while, I'll have, and I think I have 2 or 3 of these, where I have what I consider like essay videos, where I actually, usually these end up being blog posts as well, where I actually pretty much wrote an essay about some sort of topic, and usually it ends up something about Austin. I have like 1 or 2 that are Austin related, that those end up being think pieces kind of thing. But that's not my normal content. I don't usually do a planned video. The only other time I think I've had a video that is a little bit off of my normal is when I just popped up randomly. I think this is a couple videos ago, where I was so fired up by something I read in one of the books, and I did a compare and contrast of how 2 books covered a similar topic. But usually it's just based off of what I'm feeling at the moment, what I feel like talking about at the moment. Okay, 7B. Are you ever overwhelmed with video ideas? No. No, I because I don't really have video ideas. This is really, the whole point of my BookTube channel was really just to be able to talk about books and just express myself and my opinions in another area, in an area where I wouldn't see people's eyes glazing over. So just sort of speaking into the ether. So no, I'm generally not overwhelmed with video ideas. Number 8, have you regretted posting a video? There's been points where maybe I'm not so much regretted, but I've been like, okay, I'm not going to revisit that video because I'll probably regret it if I go and review it, because maybe it was one that I hit record and I posted right away because I knew if I thought about it more, I probably wouldn't post. But not normally. I don't usually regret posting video because I pretty much do the same kind of videos. Okay, 9A. Are the number of views, subscribers meaningful to you? I mean, it's nice to know that people watch and subscribe, but I also know that if people don't, as much as I'd like them to do so, the reason that I did it, that I made this channel, was to be able to speak about books in a more or less intelligent manner, depending on where my brain fog is. So any number of views or subscribers, if I have a comment, it's kind of exciting to me because I don't get a whole lot of views. So any view or subscriber is meaningful because it's cool, because I didn't necessarily expect anyone to watch because it's just me rambling in a more or less coherent or incoherent manner. 9B, are the views/subscribers a measurement of success? I guess it depends on what you describe success as, because for me, success is simply getting what I plan to get out of the channel, being able to enjoy talking about books. Just being able to put up a video is success, and anyone who gets enjoyment out of that video, that's success. And anyone who maybe finds out about a book they're interested in from that's success. So views/subscribers, yeah, it can be a measurement of success, but it's not the only measurement of success, at least in my opinion. 10, are you disappointed by the growth on your channel? Not really, because I know I read kind of what seems to be a bit of a niche area. I'm seeing more nonfiction booktubers now, but I think that's because I'm getting more of them suggested to me since I've found more of them via the Historathon Discord. So YouTube's starting to register these are the kind of booktube videos I like, but I do get the impression that the nonfiction area of booktube is a much smaller percentage of booktube than the main population of booktubers. So I am not disappointed in the growth of my channel for multiple reasons. Partially, like I said, because I think that there are many more people who read fiction who partake in booktube than nonfiction readers. And then the other thing is that, as I've been mentioning other questions I answered, any sort of growth is, that's icing on the cake, because I didn't expect maybe more than, I thought I'd be lucky if I get one person to watch. So any person to watch or comment, that's great. So having, 110 people right now is kind of cool, and it's kind of cool if any of them end up actually watching too. So yeah, no, I can't really say I'm disappointed by the growth of my channel. I purposely try not to. Yes, I watch how many people subscribe to channel, and I do have a general idea of how many subscribers I have, but I try not to attach that number to the value of my channel because I don't want to make, whether the number of subscribers I have, because that falls and that goes up and goes down, goes up and goes down, just when people clear out their channels they don't watch, or, whatever, or they just fall out in love with the channel. So subscriber numbers go up and down all the time, and if I put too much of the value of my channel on that, I'll take the joy of the BookTube channel away from myself, and that's then going to take away from the whole reason I started BookTube. So I purposely try my best not to make the growth of my channel be a hugely important part of BookTube for me. Okay, 11, have you ever thought about quitting BookTube? Even though I've been on BookTube longer than I thought I've been, I think this is my second year, my third year, something like that. Even though I've been on for a little while, I've not been terribly consistent about posting, and as I mentioned before, my reason for being on BookTube is just for having a place to air my opinions. So I probably won't quit BookTube unless I stop getting as invested in reading, just because I need to have a place to air my thoughts without, boring my family members to tears by just my going on and on. So yeah, I probably won't end up quitting BookTube. 12A, what are the most touching comments? Now, I don't get a ton of comments, so any comments I really appreciate. People who say that they enjoy the video or anything like that, I really appreciate, because I do have a couple of people who've been kind enough to mention when they enjoy a video. I think I've had one time where someone mentioned, they would probably check out a book that I mentioned, and that was really cool. But yeah, any comment for me, any positive comment is kind of touching, because I don't get a lot of them. Not a lot of positive comments. I don't get a lot of comments, period. So to get any sort of comment is cool. Any sort of positive comment is cool. 12B, what are the most negative comments? I haven't received any negative comments yet, knock on wood. And that's partially because I don't have a huge audience base. So, the bigger your audience base, the more likely you're going to come up with an algorithm, the more likely someone's going to find you who might not like your content. So, yeah, I haven't yet received any sort of really negative comments. Now, if I were to read some of the books that I expect in the future, if I were to read some of the books that I am interested in reading that maybe have a little bit, the things that always cause controversy, religion, politics, anything like that. If I do already read a decent amount of religion, particularly historical context, but if I was to read more of that, of religion and politics, and also get a larger audience base, then I would anticipate seeing more negative comments, especially since I'm not sure if my particular political leaning is as common on BookTube. At least I haven't seen as much of it. I've seen more of a liberal leaning among booktubers that I've watched. I am more conservative, so I might anticipate, if I was to read and talk about Thomas Sowell or someone else's books on here, I might not get as positive feedback, especially if I had a larger audience base and therefore more of a differing, more people actually caring about what I say or caring enough to leave a comment. So, yeah, I do anticipate if I was to read some of the topics I'm interested in that might be considered more controversial, that might get more negative comments. But at this point, I haven't A, talked about those things as much, and B, I don't have the audience space. And final question 13. In regards to BookTube, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't really anticipate, if I'm still on BookTube in 5 years, I don't really see much of anything being different because I don't have any plans. I honestly started for one reason and really one reason only. So, audience, my subscriber numbers and my view count might go up and down throughout years or whatever time period that I'm on BookTube, but I don't see, that would be the only thing I could see really changing. My content might grow, as my exposure to other booktubers develops more, and as my reading tastes, adjust or whatever, things like that, that might change my content, but I don't really have a plan in regards to my content other than just reading what I enjoy and talking about it. But yeah, that's really all I have for the Behind the BookTube tag. Thank you, Justin, for covering this tag in your video. I really appreciated that. And if you have not watched Justin before, he is Triumphal Reads. Chances are you would have been more likely to hear about him than you would have been able to hear about me. So I am quite sure that most people have already watched his content, if you are even potentially seeing my stuff. But yeah, so check out his channel. Excuse me. And check out any of the channels down in my in the description at the bottom of this video. I have tagged all the Historathon 2024 hosts, so check out all their channels. And I don't know that I put the link for the Discord down there, but if you check out any of those hosts, they should be able to give you a way to get into that Discord. And the Historathon Discord is really awesome too. Yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm trying to check the time. I might have enough time to record another video before people start waking up in the house, so I might go ahead and turn this off and get another video in. Thank you very much for joining me today for another Thank you very much for joining me today for another video for Talia Nerds Out. Hope that you have a very blessed day, night, whatever time it is for you, and I will see you again in the next video. God bless. Bye-bye.